Ron Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise on behalf of New Zealand First, take a short call on the Weathertight Homes Resolution Services Amendment Bill. And I've got to say, Mr. Speaker, from the outset, whilst it's nice to have a nice warm fuzzy feeling in the House about the government coming forward with a wonderful piece of legislation to deal with the problem that's persisted over the how many decades now, and everybody in the House, including New Zealand First, saying to the government, look, this bill makes a lot of sense and we need to tidy up the loose edges. I wasn't here in 2011 when the last piece of legislation went through, but what stands out to me is, and I'll take it from the previous speaker's speech, those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat the same mistakes. And I think it is very timely right now, Mr. Speaker, while this bill is on the floor of the House, to remind people how we got there. Because it's been those decisions that were taken back in 1991 when a government focused on deregulation. And the funny old thing is that I still hear every day how deregulation is such a wonderful thing. Self-regulation is another term that's often thrown at the House, and we're told consistently and persistently, particularly by one party, that responsible people in the relevant industries out there regulate themselves in the best interest of their fellow New Zealanders, that they regulate themselves appropriately because they want to protect their professional standards, and they certainly don't want to be labelled as people who provide tardy or shoddy workmanship. 1991 was an era that we forget and ignore at our peril. Here we are. I mean, 1991, that's when the Building Act was changed. Since it came into effect in 1994, homes that were built between about 1994 and 2004, all the homes that we are still here in 2015 attempting by this legislation to put right and to fix. And again, it stands out even to the dimmest wit on the planet that here we had a piece of legislation that went through in 1991 that cost the nation an absolute fortune just to get the legislation through, was highly controversial under what could only be described as the most right-wing national government that ever walked the planet. Or maybe this one's heading that way too now, I don't know. But and it was subsequently proven to be flawed and faulty legislation. What's the bill? Well, we've heard today, $11.2 billion it's cost. Let me put it to you this way, Mr. Speaker. I know a number of families, and I have a lot of friends, and mainly in the cities, who bought houses unsuspectingly, not knowing that they were leaky homes. It is not hard to find people who have been driven to take, well, some in fact who took their lives because of the trauma that they were put through. And I've got to send a message from New Zealand First to the government. Let this be the last piece of legislation that comes to this House to deal with leaky home syndrome. Let this be the last time that this House, and please take advantage of the goodwill that exists right across the floor of this House to get this right and do the right thing by those New Zealanders who actually got shafted. Shafted by shoddy National Party government thinking in 1991. And I'll say that again because I'm starting to see the same syndrome in the government benches today. It's almost like that famous Cullen line, "We won, you lost, eat that forever." Better start listening, people. Better start listening. Because to have New Zealanders having to redress and having to have Parliament revisit this issue time and time again, is it going to come back to the House in another 4 years' time? Are we going to make mistakes along the way? I just hope that, and I'm confident, the Local Government Select Committee, it's a pretty good team in there. I'm confident, I'm hopeful that we will work together. The issues that stand out to me that I do worry about around the issues of qualifying claimant. We've got a member of our family who's still trying to resolve issues about a leaky apartment they live in, which is part of a body corp arrangement. And why does that problem still persist today, 2015? Because we don't seem to get it right in Parliament, do we? no matter how many times we come back to the House, no matter how fine the speeches may be, no matter how much support is offered by the opposition parties of the day to the government of the day, and it's interesting that each time, well, the last 2 times it's been national governments in here, let's just do this right. New Zealand First is putting on the line here. We will work constructively with the committee. We will work constructively with the government. I will be talking at length with local government New Zealand to get a better understanding as to how the councils are dealing with these issues. We understand the complexities and the legalities that so torment everybody, including councils. We understand that the people who are being double hit on all of this are those taxpayers who are also ratepayers who are getting hit as they fund the financial assistance package with 25% from either direction. And from our perspective, New Zealand First, it's been a pretty sordid and sorry affair, and one that blights New Zealand's reputation. So two things I'll leave the government with to think about. Let this piece of legislation and let this issue be forever a reminder to this government and to National Party people who think this way, that deregulation is not the end-all, be-all, that deregulation does not protect innocent New Zealanders who actually trust in builders and trust in architects to deliver them quality advice, that when you offer up opportunities to let loose the cowboys and the architects who want to experiment, when you create a situation and legislation that leaves local government inspectors in a difficult position where they are not really quite sure as to what their position is, then everybody pays. This has been a sordid and sorry affair, Mr. Speaker, and I for one hope that this is the last time that we have legislation on this matter. And I would actually like to see out of this an indication as to how many houses are still left out there. I know from my time in local government that there are great fear amongst our ratepayers, particularly with the emerging amalgamation, that there's the second tranche of leaky homes that have not been, that are still out there to be dealt with. We are hearing consistently in the Wairarapa that if we get amalgamated into a super city, every Wairarapa ratepayer who doesn't have any leaky homes in their territorial authorities actually, Carterton had two. That was it. You know, good builders over there, good architects, good people. No rip-offs, no cowboys. But we've paid for the restoration and the refit of those houses. For ratepayers now on the Wairarapa to be told that they may end up having to pay a share of what, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 extra houses, that is something they worry about. That on top of whatever contributions they might have to make in a super city model to the earthquake strengthening of what, 740 buildings in the Wellington Basin. Mr. Speaker, New Zealand First will support the bill. To the bill now. I will come back to this bill, but it is, those are the issues that test us over in the Wairarapa. Those are the issues that councillors are talking about, and look forward to working constructively with the committee to see if we can deal with this matter for once and for all.